Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for Craig Smoak's Off the Radar. Brought to you by Pickup Outfitters. Since 1997, we've been outfitting trucks, SUVs, and vans at 220 Lake Air Drive or createacommotion.com.
All right, welcome back into Sikkim 365 Radio. Time for Off the Radar, taking a look at some stories outside of Cowboys and college football, which is a majority of what we talk. And a big series starting later tonight, the World Series. Houston Astros and Atlanta Braves. Game number 1 later this evening in Houston at Minute Maid Park. Start just after 7 o'clock Central Time, 7:09 to be exact. And according to Caesars Sportsbook and others out in Vegas, the Astros are the favorites to win this series. Minus 150 over the Braves. Braves, of course, got their spot here after beating the Dodgers on Saturday night in the NLCS. So Houston is the favorite. This is their third World Series appearance in the last 5 seasons. 1-1 in those World Series appearances. Good news for them, they've won one. So you got like that giant weight off of your shoulders, unlike the Texas Rangers, but, whatever. So an opportunity to go win a second World Series. Mattress Mac has a bet writing on this game. Good old Mattress Mac. He really is. But he placed a $3.35 million bet on the Astros to win the World Series. At the time, they were 10-1 odds. He placed the bet in late June. So $3.35 million on the Astros at 10-1 odds to win the World Series. Is that insane or what?
God, what it must be like to have that kind of money. And if they had McCullers, I would be like, man, that's good. But no McCullers for the series is going to make it tougher. The Braves are riding on a wave of emotion. But player for player, the Astros are better. And the Braves' best player has been hurt for months. So, I would say that, he's got a good shot of winning $33.5 million.
Yeah, and he does this. He kind of offsets his other gambles in business, and so it works out well for him. And he's won, and he's he had I guess it was another bet. I guess that his largest reported bet. This is from ESPN on the Astros. $2 million at 10-1 at Caesars Sportsbook would pay a net $20 million, which would be one of the largest payouts ever at a U.S. sportsbook. But yeah, he's got a late June bet, $3.35 million on the Astros at 10-1 odds. And tonight it will be a familiar face lining up across from the Astros on the pitching mound. That'll be Charlie Morton. The righty's 14-6 on the year. It'll be Framber Valdez for the Astros. So tonight, just after 7 o'clock, Paul, you just talked about it a little bit, but what are your thoughts on this series? Astros taking this one home, or are you liking the Braves and the magic they kind of had since the middle of the season?
I kind of like the Braves a little bit, but I think just common sense tells you that the Astros, especially the way that they closed out that Red Sox series, have a lot of momentum. They haven't played in a few days, so maybe that slows them down. But I just think that it's going to be interesting pitching-wise. Nobody really has any pitching, a deep pitching.
Like dominant?
Dominant, deep pitching. And this, who's – with McCullers out for the Astros, who's the guy and Verlander's not pitching for them right now. And
it's not like when they line up Verlander, Cole, Greinke.
Greinke's a shell of himself even though he's available. So, who's making you quake in your boots as a pitcher on either of these teams?
Yeah.
And Charlie Morton's starting game 1 for the Braves. So, I don't know. So I think that it's going to be kind of a different series, and I think it's going to go, more than 5 games either way. So you're looking at a 6-7 game series because of that pitching issue that they both have.
What do you think? You got Astros or Braves?
Man,
I'm going Astros. I think the Astros win this one.
I say the Braves remind me of the Nationals when they won it. I don't know if their pitching's at the same level of what the Nationals had. I doubt it. But the Astros, with what they did and how they came back and just basically bludgeoned Boston, they're hot. And, the Braves are hot. I'm going to take Houston in this one because I just think their offense is just, good God. And of course, Atlanta's is too, Rosario and all the other guys. I'm going to take the Astros.
Yeah, well, that gets underway tonight. So
that's so hard for me to do that because I'm a Rangers fan.
Should be a good series. The two mayors have come up with their little bet. You've got Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms and Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner. Mayor Bottoms. She went on Instagram and said that if the Astros win, Turner would have to wear an Atlanta Braves. If the Braves win, Turner would have to wear an Atlanta Braves hat and jersey. She'd also send him some unique Atlanta food and beverages like peach cobbler from Pascal's, a case of Coca-Cola, beer from Best Inn Brewery, and a hammer from the Home Depot in honor of Hammerin' Hank Aaron. Turner said if Houston wins, she will have to, the Atlanta mayor will have to wear Houston gear, and he will ship some Houston area favorites like Blood Brothers Barbecue, St. Arnold Brewing Company, and Irma's Original. So there's a little mayor-friendly bet there. Did y'all watch Monday Night Football last night?
I a little bit of it, and then I watched a little Eli and Peyton and Brady.
I missed Marshawn Lynch, and
he was cussing up a storm, boy. He was cussing up a storm. He was dropping all the dirty words, F-bomb, S-bomb, all that stuff. I guess we could technically say it if we wanted to, but I don't know that the Mannings were prepared for it. They were also taking shots of Hennessy. Eli off camera. Marshawn said he took like 3 shots before he got on there, so he was having a bit of fun, and he was certainly a highlight from the Manning cast. But Browns win 17-14 over the Broncos. And I got to say,
Thursday night. Saints and Seahawks.
Saints and Seahawks,
and that was
my bad.
ugly. That was ugly.
Yes,
ugly
it was.
Game.
What are you thinking about Jameis?
He's struggling.
But they don't let him throw deep because he doesn't have any deep options, right now. So I wonder how that will change when he does have deep options. But there, you can tell Sean Payton's trying to coach the gunslinger out of him a little bit, and everything's, close to the line of scrimmage, and it's not like he can't throw deep. I mean, the guy's got a howitzer on his right arm, but I think he will be fine if they can get a guy like Michael Thomas back, but who knows when that's ever going to happen. And I wouldn't, if I'm the Saints and I want to keep pace in the race and say Odell Beckham Jr. becomes available, I might go and make a deal for him because they don't really have anybody who can stretch the field.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And so Monday Night Football last night, it was a punt fest. Quite frankly, it was an absolute punt fest. Seahawks missed a crucial field goal, and Saints win 13-10. So they're now 4-2. Seahawks are now 2-5. Seahawks are 2-5. I don't know. It just seems like, I know it was years ago, but it just seems like not that long ago that they were at the top of the heap. But then again, one of their best players was up in the booth, was talking to the Mannings and drinking Hennessy. So that's part of the reason why they're not the same.
Well, and Russell Wilson is out. And again, Geno Smith, that night he went out, was good for like 2 or 3 series because they weren't ready for him. And now everybody's watched, and now they know his issues.
Yep. Elsewhere around the NFL, the league has announced they plan to enact new enhancements to the Rooney Rule ahead of the next hiring cycle. They plan to inform owners at the league meeting today, as a matter of fact, that they will have new enhancements for the upcoming hiring cycle, including mandating at least one in-person interview with an external minority candidate for head coach and general manager jobs. Per sources, in recent years, they've mandated multiple interviews from outside of your said organization when it comes to some of the top jobs. But with internal interviews and virtual interviews and things like that, the NFL is just trying to ensure that it's more comprehensive.
I don't, and I'm not saying that Jerry Jones is a racist because I think he's anything but a racist, but I don't think that he's ever really done the Rooney Rule in good spirit, in good faith, because he's a guy who knows exactly who he wants. For example, he wanted Mike McCarthy. He wanted to convince himself he wanted Mike McCarthy. He wanted Mike McCarthy. And so far, that's looked to be a good choice based on how the season's gone this year. But, who did he really interview that he was a serious candidate? Because he wanted Mike McCarthy. Yeah. When he hired Jason Garrett, he wanted Jason Garrett. Yeah. Jason Garrett was the interim, and then he made him the coach. As a matter of fact, he might have technically been able to avoid the Rooney Rule then. When he wanted Wade Phillips, he wanted Wade Phillips. So, I'm not saying that I'm sure he's following the rules, but has he ever done it in good faith where this person is legitimately a candidate for the Cowboys? And because Jerry goes for who he wants. And I'm sure there's many other owners that are exactly like that.
Yeah. So this is what they're doing to try and, I guess, be more comprehensive, like I said, in terms of interviewing minority candidates for top positions. One proposal that had been on the table that I did find interesting was the decision, or they didn't end up voting on it today, but and it looks like it's just going to get shelved. But the idea of forcing the coaching cycle, hiring cycle to wait until after, at least championship games or until after the Super Bowl before making any official hires. But that's a no-go. I think that would probably be beneficial for everybody involved, but the NFL doesn't seem too interested in doing it that way.
You're penalizing the team that needs to hire somebody, even though they try to always have a dead period during Super Bowl week. We've even seen that's happen. Mm-hmm. But if you're a franchise and you're an owner and you need a head coach, and it means you can get somebody 2 weeks ahead, or I wouldn't want to be delayed, but I get what they're trying to do, though.
Yeah, Cal McNair, Houston Texans owner, found himself in a little bit of hot water. He was at a golf event today. He was addressing a crowd of 100-plus people. He was with his wife. It was a Houston Texans Foundation charity. Today, the report came out that when he was at a charity event in May with his wife, Hannah, he had made a comment that was considered anti-Asian. He had said, "I'm sorry that we couldn't get together last year because of the China virus." Everyone in attendance apparently audibly gasped, according to a witness, and so he had to release a statement today through Bally Sports saying, "My comments at the event last May included an inappropriate choice of words. I immediately apologized to people who approached me then, and I apologize again now. I know how important it is to choose my words carefully. I would never want to offend anyone." So there's Cal McNair trying to clean up a little bit of a mess from this last spring. Also, Washington football team not quite out of this mess that's going on with accusers and all the reports that were surrounding their workplace environment and how toxic it was. And we know that, Dan Snyder caught a lot of heat and basically stepped to the side, for all intents and purposes. But now 2 of those accusers are demanding that the whole story gets told. And they gave a long letter that was sent, and the owners had it at their meetings today. There was pictures that Albert Breer posted on Twitter. It was hand-delivered. They were also part of the actual investigation that took place. And the letter said the NFL should not be allowed to encourage employees to come forward at a great personal risk to speak to investigators, only to sweep the results of that investigation under the rug. And it just basically went on to say that, hey, there was no details made public, and we want those details to be made public. So it kind of reminds me of the Baylor situation. Like, release the letter, whatever. It's kind of release the report. It's kind of like that deal for Washington. We'll see if they ultimately have to, but there is some pressure being applied, and, we'll see what happens there. But I would imagine that is not something that they want out there in any way, shape, or form.
And look at what eventually will happen if there's no written report. Either the law firm has to write one if they're made to, or, like in the case of the Pepper Hamilton situation at Baylor, lawsuits will happen where, okay, you don't want to send us the report, send us everything that you have, and then we're just going to peel through
sort through it. So, just something to keep an eye on, because if that does ever come to a point where they have to release that, that's going to be a pretty bad day. Tom Brady threw a 600th touchdown pass over the weekend, and a fan was the recipient of the souvenir.
This might be the best award, even though that football was worth $500,000. This might be the best I've ever heard.
Well, like you said, the football was estimated to be worth at around $500,000. The ball is now back in the possession of Tom Brady. And he got a little bit of a deal. The fan who got the football and subsequently gave it back, according to Darren Ravel, the man's name is Byron Kennedy. And in return for this $500,000 football, he got 2 signed Tom Brady jerseys, a signed Tom Brady helmet, a signed Mike Evans jersey, a pair of Mike Evans cleats from the game, a $1,000 Bucks team store credit, 2 season tickets for the remainder of the year, and 2 season tickets for the entire 2022 season. So that is what he got in return for the 600 touchdown pass football valued at $500,000.
And I think now Brady has thrown in a Bitcoin.
Oh, really? I didn't see that part of it.
I do. I think he did.
Okay.
I saw some chatter on that, but he might have thrown in a Bitcoin that right now may be valued at like $50,000.
Okay. Well, a lot of people were giving this guy flack for accepting that, and like, hey, I take, everybody would do something different if it was, in their possession, of course. But a lot of people saying should have taken the money. But hey, maybe that Bitcoin ends up being worth a lot of money. Who the heck knows? As far as that goes. Speaking of money in sports, Michael Jordan, from time to time I mention like a valuable card going on sale or whatever. Pair of his game-worn rookie airship sell for $1.47 million. So jeez. A lot of folks out there with big collections and just income that goes for days when you can spend $1.47 million on a pair of old tennis shoes, but that smashes the record for a previous set of Jordan shoes that went for $615,000 earlier this year. So jeez. Doubled that up, $1.47 million for Jordan's old sneakers. And I will also mention, circling back to the World Series, MLB postseason ratings up 95%. On TBS. That's their best mark since 2018. Dodgers and Braves, big part of that. But Turner Sports touting their best ratings in 3 years for Major League Baseball postseason action. So good to see people tuning in, and we'll see what it looks like for the World Series starting tonight. There's a few things off the radar.
World Series, it was a time when any kind of NBA Finals, World Series, Stanley Cup, and Super Bowl would never, ever miss any of them. Every pitch, every game. It's just not the same for me anymore, but I do look forward to having that. It will be on as I work through the night tonight. Now, coming up next, we'll open the phone lines. Paul, are they up?
It's going to be tomorrow. I have to go to my house to fix the problem. All
right. The text line remains open, and here's one. We'll come back with some of your questions and the chat room. 254-339-1122 on the text line, and also the chat room continues to eat itself up. You guys and girls are amazing. This is Sikkim 365 Radio.
Now is the best time of year.